What's going on, Mr. RapNerd, and I am back with another segment of Off the Shelf. And in today's episode, I will be talking about Rob Zombie's Halloween remake from 2007. Now, let me start by saying this, because I know Rob Zombie and this movie itself is a very divisive film. So there are people who do not like this movie or Rob at all. And for those folks, I just want you to know that please be kind. And if you don't have anything nice to say, just please let me be and go elsewhere. I'm just here to celebrate the film. Everything that I'm saying, by no means is saying this is the best movie or a masterpiece. I'm just expressing my love for the film. Gotta say that because the internet can be so unkind sometimes, and I'm not for any of that. So if you're new to the channel, Off the Shelf is a segment that I do where I talk about a film that I love, talk about what I love about that film, talk about my first viewing of that film, and then the physical media that I own for that movie. So to start off, let's get into the film, man. I really love this film for a number of reasons. And the one that I'm speaking about specifically, gotta put it out there, is the theatrical cut. Not a fan of the director's cut because of one scene in particular that I think is really unnecessary that involves sexual violence. I don't think that was needed at all. Now, I know the issues with this film. A lot of people say that this is just a shot-for-shot remake of John Carpenter's Halloween. And I can't deny that, you know, once you get past the main bulk of the film at the beginning, detailing the backstory, it is a shot-for-shot remake, and for the most part, a lot of the same shots are reused in Rob Zombie's version of the film. And personally, as a guy who loves Halloween 78, I don't find a problem with that because I love that movie for what it is. So to see Rob take shots like that and bring him into today's time, you know, back then, I'm all for it. And I'm going to preface this by saying this is kind of how I look at this movie. And I'm going to compare Rob Zombie to another director who's also divisive, and that is Zack Snyder. For me, I look at Rob Zombie's Halloween the same way I look at how Zack Snyder did 300 and Watchmen specifically. Those movies are really praised for being panel to screen kind of remakes of the comic, but brought into the film space with his own visual flair and tone to it. And I look at Rob Zombie's movie the same way, except the source material isn't a comic book, it's an actual film in Halloween. I like that he recreated a lot of the same shots and even vibes for certain films, but also changing the tone from the first one. You know, Halloween 78 is so great because it has a certain innocence about it. You know, the town of Haddonfield, it's just this regular schmegular place with these regular schmegular people living their lives, and they're just all torn apart by this evil of Michael Myers. That's what makes the movie so well. There's this little charming innocence to that film. Whereas in Rob Zombie's film, the charm is pretty much gone. Like, he took what Halloween did with 78 and brought it into the modern day time of what he experienced, and hell, what a lot of people experience in their regular normal lives. Like, this version of Haddonfield feels more similar to where I grew up, and not to say that this is a terrible version of Haddonfield or anything, but it just feels more normal in modern day than it did in 78. And that's no knock to 78 at all. I just feel like, again, it's a different interpretation through a different artist. You know, the teenagers here, it's a different time. That time back then, that may have been seen as mischievous, whereas here you have teenagers talking shit the same way that I talk shit when I was in high school. I laugh at the scene when Lori, Annie, and Nancy are walking, and Annie's dad pulls up and asks them for a ride. You know, he's a police officer.
What's up, Dad?
I'm on my way home. Anybody want a ride?
Yeah, hell yeah, I'll take a ride.
No.
Okay.
Bacon mobiles make me nauseous.
Hey, nice. Bye, Andrew.
That's 100% something a friend of mine would have said in high school, so it just feels a little bit updated to modernize these kids this way. And you can say that for a lot of the characters who are the mainstay here. Even though I will admit that there is some dialogue that's heavily exaggerated that I'll get to a little later. In this 78, it's that ping pong of tone, you know, having that innocent factor, but also then bringing in Michael to shatter that, and it goes back and forth throughout the film. But in Rob Zombie's Halloween, the tone is pretty much very serious the entire time, from start to finish. And I actually like that change of pace. And not to say that that's better, but again, I've lived with this franchise for so long, and this franchise has been around for so long, I just look at this as like a different take from an artist. And even like Zack Snyder, with 300 and Watchmen, he adds his own change to what the source material was, which is the next big portion I'm going to get into. And it's that beginning. That first 15 to 20 minutes detailing Michael Myers' upbringing. Like, this part right here is gold. And I feel like even people who don't like the movie all can agree that this part was excellently done. First of all, it opens in the Myers home and we just see this toxic, just mess of a household, verbal abuse getting slang all around. You see Michael's mom trying to get the kids ready for school and her dipshit boyfriend Ronnie just cursing at everybody in such an exaggerated way that I find it funny, even though it is very toxic if you were to hear that. And honestly, a lot of people may think that this is highly exaggerated, but I'm gonna be real with you. People actually talk like this for real. I had some neighbors that literally spoke like this to each other, and you can hear it through the wall. So this is not a far-fetched thing like you may think it is. So you see this toxic back and forth between Ronnie, his mom, and his sister even comes downstairs. But throughout this all, Michael seems unbothered by it. Not only does it show him with his mask on, killing an animal, but when he comes downstairs, amongst everything, you just see that none of this toxicity is bothering him at all. And the mask is literally a mask for him to just block everything out. So much so that he disassociates himself with the mask on, with it off. The thing about this scene is I've also seen that people say that this kind of justifies Michael for doing the actions that he does, but I don't think that's the case. I think that's the purpose of him walking downstairs with the mask and not really paying any attention. He blocks it all off and none of it matters. So we fast forward to school and he gets bullied, curses out the principal, his mom comes and she doesn't do anything better to help the situation. And then we move to the sequence that really is the most riveting part of the film at this point, and that is when he kills the bully. And again, this goes against everything people were saying about trying to show some sympathy for Michael, because even though all of this toxic stuff is going on, I feel like this sequence was directed in a way to not feel any sympathy, because regardless of what he's going through, regardless of being bullied, the shit he's doing here is wrong. I mean, he stakes out this bully the entire time and goes on attack mode, beating him with a stick. And this sequence was just filmed and edited perfectly. I love how we see Michael with the mask on, of course, and he just lifts a stick and hits him. And one of the best choices that I think in this scene is when the camera is spinning, looking at the sky. I don't know about y'all, if you ever been whacked in the head really hard or by anything or someone per se. I had some head injuries when I was a kid, and boy oh boy, when I got smacked, my head was spinning just like that. So the depiction of this outworldly experience, you're in the kid's shoes, which is sitting here getting beat to death. And you even see the kid beg for his life, like, I'm sorry, he's bleeding, he's bloody and bleeding, I'm sorry. But Mike just stares him down with that blank mask, puts it on, and continues to go to work. And then the final shot that I think is just sells how brutal this scene is when the kid is just laying on the ground and you see him take his last breath, and then it pans up to Michael and he's just standing there and he walks off like nothing happened. Excellent scene, excellently shot, excellently directed and acted, and it just sent chills up my spine with how brutal this was. And I feel like it sets the tone for what's to come now, because in this sequence we get the same attack from the original, but yet again it's way more brutal. Mike putting that mask on and turning into a different animal. This is the embodiment of evil. You can tell that he's enjoying this. Like, this is nothing to him. And that's what we didn't get in 78. Here you get everything. He walks in, ties Ronnie up, which is crazy and shows you how psychotic he is, and slits his throat, hits his sister boyfriend with a bat. He starts convulsing and just continues to wail on him. And he just so happens to have the Michael Myers mask, which he puts on in exchange for his clown mask, goes upstairs and finishes the job. And I think all of this is just perfectly done to present the aspect of how brutal and how much of a force of nature Michael Myers is even as a kid. So now when we see him when he's older, we can believe it. We've seen him do it as a kid, so now that he's this grown man, anything is fair game. And to add on, we get to see Michael when he's actually in the psych ward talking to Loomis. We see when they first get introduced to each other, and as they're speaking, Michael really doesn't know or think that anything happened. He's asking questions like, where's my family at? When can I go see them again? And, Loomis is kind of taken aback, like, what do you mean, like, where's your family? Like, you killed them. Do you not remember any of that? And he's just like, And I just found it to be written well to show just his disassociation with what's going on when the mask is on and off. And you see his mom try and cope with her son, and oh my God, it's just so heart-wrenching seeing her wear that emotion. Like, Sherry did an excellent job of balancing wanting to be there with his son, but also just can't believing what he did and the fact that he's never going to get out and this is just his fate. It's very heart-wrenching to watch that. And then of course it gets to a point where it is what it is. Michael is here forever and there's nothing that anyone can do, especially when he does his last action of brutality, stabbing the nurse. It's a done deal, and it ultimately pushes Mom to the edge to the point where self-inflicting. Alright, so in the midst of editing this video, I forgot to mention one of the biggest things about this movie that I love and joke around with my wife is the most heartbreaking yet funny moment with Danny Trejo in jail when Mike does him dirty. That was such a heartbreaking moment because he actually was the only person that was good to Michael, and yet he still kills him. And again, that goes into Rob Zombie depicting Michael as like a crazy dude, like he wants no sympathy because he totally did not deserve this man at all. He even has that iconic line, "I was good to you, Mikey." I said it before, but me and my wife have this decade-running thing where we'll insert movie quotes into real life wherever we can, and that is definitely a line that we always try to insert where we can. We'll say, "I was good to you," to whatever it is as a joke. So that definitely sparked something in my relationship when we went to go see it in the cinema. So I had to splice that part in here. So I say all that to say this first 15 minutes are excellent, and it's what makes the movie as to why you should even watch it. And it's one of the reasons why I love it, because it just brings a whole different light to Michael. Now, another point to compare Rob Zombie to Zack Snyder again here is what Zack Snyder tends to do with, those DC movies 300 and Watchmen, and even the other DC films, is he takes this mythical power of these characters and goes, what if we put these characters with the same set of powers, skills, and bring them to the real world? And that's why a lot of his movies are so hardcore, with the comic book ones especially, is because if these super beings really existed, this is how things would happen. This is how the world would react to it. Whether you agree or disagree, I'm not here to discuss that, but I just know that that's what he goes for. And I feel like Rob Zombie took the same exact approach with Michael. And the reason I say that is the next point I'm getting to is this Michael Myers is the most terrifying ever. I still get scared of this Michael Myers. When I see him on screen, I get goosebumps. Like, he is just a force of nature, literally. Choosing Tyler Mane to play Michael Myers is one of the most crucial, strong, and terrifying things to do. Dude is 6'8", 295 of all muscle. This is a guy that if he walks in the room, I'm dipping. Like, Michael Myers, to me, the 78 version is scary. Just seeing a guy being a little bit taller than average with the athletic build and just moving the way he moves. 78 Michael is very stiff, but he's quick. He's not expressive with his body at all. In reverse, this version of Michael is way bigger, way taller, and very expressive with all of his movements. Even his voice, like when he's chopping stuff down, you hear him make these grunts like, ugh, and it is just terrifying. Oh my, I'm getting chills thinking about it, because I'm telling you, I see 78 Michael, I'm gonna be like, okay, let me run, but how can I outsmart him? I see 2007 Michael, I will jump off of a roof to get away from him. Like, I'd rather just splat than have to deal with what this behemoth of a person is. And I feel like if you have a Michael Myers on a killing spree of Halloween over, a few days, it would make sense that in the real world, for a dude to be getting away with it, he would have to be somebody who is of this size, of this athletically skilled, because the dude is quick. He's big and he's quick. I could see him taking on a police force and wiping out a whole police force like we've seen in the past movies. I think Kills Myers is great too, just because of his brutality and lack of care and empathy is up there. But for me, this Michael Myers is the most terrifying version of the character that I've ever seen, and has not been topped yet, because good Lord. And of course, the rest of the movie plays out, as I've said, like the original, but it's that first 15 minutes that makes this movie so strong, detailing his origin and making Michael just a physical juggernaut of a character, and what set this movie apart from the rest of them, and I love it because of that. So to get into my theatrical experience, another reason this movie holds a special place in my heart is because this is the first Halloween movie that I saw in theaters. Everything before I was too young to see, but when this came out, I saw that trailer, I was like, I am definitely going to see this in theaters. My favorite franchise has a movie that I can see. Count me in. And everything that I just said is what I was floored by. It was so visceral to me. Seeing it in modern day and seeing the brutality and everything ramped up to different levels on the big screen. It was just crazy, and I would never forget that. For that reason, this film will forever be one of my favorites in the franchise, and I love it. So to now get into the physical media of this film. So this is the first one that I bought. It's just a standard double feature. Since these movies came out back to back, I just went ahead and bought the double disc CD because I love Halloween and I really like Halloween 2. I know Halloween 2 is one that's super divisive and not a lot of people like, but I just really like that one because I feel like the Halloween aura and atmosphere of that film is crazy and one of the best in the franchise. So this is just a standard Blu-ray, nothing too special. Both films there. No slipcase either. So I had that version for a minute, and then I bought that box set special, and it came with all of the films at the time. None of the new ones are in here. And it came with these two Blu-rays, and I believe there might be a little bit of difference as far as maybe a little remastering, and I know there's more details that come for the behind the scenes for each movie. I liked them for what it was, but mainly I bought them for the box, and it's part of that, so definitely had to get these. But the bad boy of bad boy, this Steelbook, and it's funny because I was wanting to update those versions because I was like, yeah, these are cool, and you know, the box set is dope, but I would really like a version of the films that stand on their own in the physical space. And boy, oh boy, when Walmart announced this, I placed that order quick as hell, man. This art is just gorgeous. This is Halloween 1 and 2. They are both the director's cuts, but this art is just so fire, man. Having Mike up here with the moon, Mike down here with his ripped up mask. Turn that on the back. Love that color too. You flip it, you got both sides. Turn it around. You got Mike's face right here from the poster. And you have that burnt orange that really gives that Halloween flavor. You have that black and orange as well. And then that's the inside. And as far as artwork goes, man, this is like top tier stuff. This is like some of the best that you can get. And this is only a Blu-ray. I looked and they don't even have a 4K for either one of these movies, so I'm holding out that Shout Factory will eventually make a 4K like they did the setup here with the cardboard hard box slipcases, because I really would love to have Rob Zombie's Halloweens in that same art form up there. I think that that's like my favorite type of movie art, is, you know, having hand drawn and custom drawn things for the art like this. So I'm holding out, man. But until then, I think that this is suffice, and this is one of those pieces of physical media that is most definitely a trophy in my collection. So Halloween 1 and 2. So there we have it. This off-the-shelf segment of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2007. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2007? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you prefer the director's cut? Or do you prefer the theatrical like me? Interested to hear your thoughts, and this was right on time because Halloween season is right around the corner. Gotta thank everybody for checking out my H2O video and the numbers it's doing and all of the kind comments on there. Like, honestly, that's the reason why I did this. If you like this kind of content, make sure to like, subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, thank you. Until next time, peace. RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy.